All right, wall fans, common sensors, social media world, and of course, podcast consumers. Welcome to the live feed for episode 117 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I'm, of course, your favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke. We're probably going to have a little bit shorter show tonight. Do have a lot of stuff to get through, but there's a lot of other stuff going on in the studio, a lot of other stuff to prepare for, so we might be a little bit short tonight, and we're just, because of scheduling and everything else, we're just tight on time. It's one of those things. But I know I've said that many times before, and it doesn't actually end up being shorter. So that being said, let's get into it. Common Sensors podcast consumers, welcome to episode 117, that's right, 117 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. I'm, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and we've got an action-packed show for you tonight. Probably going to run a little bit shorter than usual. Just a lot of scheduling conflicts in the studio right now, trying to prepare for a lot of other things going on right now around Go Tell It to the Wall, around some live events and stuff, so don't be surprised if this one does come out a little bit shorter. I know everyone that's been listening from the beginning is like, you've said that so many times, Sean. It's never shorter. This one might be. Let's see how it goes. All right, we always kick things off with our social plugs. That's right, you can keep up with us during episodes, before episodes, after episodes, whenever you so please. And you can do that in multiple locations. One of those would be Twitter. Head on over to Twitter and follow our official Go Tell It to the Wall Twitter account, which is @TellTheWallPod. That's right, @TellTheWallPod. You can also follow my own personal Twitter account, which is @MagicMuppet. Again, @MagicMuppet. Follow both those. Going to keep you up to date on everything that is Sean O'Rourke and everything that is Go Tell It to the Wall. We are, of course, currently live on Facebook. Head over to facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. You're going to find our official Facebook page there. Please like the page. Check back often for updates. That will definitely keep you most updated on all the happenings, all the new episodes, any new content coming out. As well as like skipped, missed weeks and stuff like that. I tend to not announce those things on Twitter, but Facebook is definitely a good resource for that, especially because I have admins on Facebook that are keeping things in line and actually conveying information to all of you out there as it's needed. And of course, YouTube. Head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, subscribe to our channel. That's right. There you're going to find all of our, not only the live feeds from every podcast that we have done video on, because we haven't done it since the beginning. It started like episode 20. You're going to find all those live feeds. You're also going to find all of our beer reviews, our parenting playlist, our mental health playlist, as well as just various Go Tell It to the Wall clips that we include up there on YouTube. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel, like the videos, watch the videos, share the videos, do all the things you do on YouTube. And I've been mentioning it recently, and if you want to follow my own personal Instagram account, we don't have an official Go Tell It to the Wall Twitter account, but if you want to follow my own personal one, that would be SoCalSean. That's right, @SoCalSean, SoCalSean. If you want to keep up to date on, like, really, that's more of a Sean O'Rourke Instagram as opposed to a Go Tell It to the Wall. You're going to mostly find kid pictures, concert pictures, like that kind of stuff. But if you're so inclined, go ahead, follow me on Instagram @SoCalSean. And most importantly, and all-encompassing of those things I just mentioned, except for Instagram, would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. That's right, SeanO'RourkeLive.com. Bookmark that website. Check back often. You're going to find links to all those social platforms that I just mentioned, as well as blog posts, photos you're not going to find anywhere else, all that good stuff. And our Patreon campaign. That's right, you can get a link to our Patreon page right through there, and if you want to support us financially, please do so. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps to keep the studio running, keeps us in getting as much content out there as we can. So please check out our Patreon page, which you can access through SeanO'RourkeLive.com. I believe you can also access it through Facebook and YouTube, but it's definitely on SeanO'RourkeLive.com. You're going to see a little symbol there, and you'll be able to just click through it and reach our Patreon page and campaign. All right, beer this week. That's right, beer this week. I gotta say, I didn't think I would ever see a shirtless Ben Franklin on a beer can, but the day has come that we have a shirtless Ben Franklin on a beer can. Now, for those of you that know your beer companies, your beer breweries, your beer brands well, you're probably guessing where this one is from. We've had this brewery on the podcast before. This is 21st Amendment Brewery, and they came out with a Tasty IPA. It is an IPA. It's a Tasty IPA. It's 6.8% alcohol by volume, but like I said, it's got a shirtless Ben Franklin on the can here. He's fortunately only shirtless, not pantsless, and he's basically swimming in a sea of hops. I think those are hops. I don't know much about beer. I'm just like, oh, the beer tastes good. And I take that back. I do kind of know because they started putting hops at the forefront of a lot of beers. Stone likes to do this, and they're like, revolving hop series. So I have come to notice certain hops that I enjoy, but I couldn't tell you all of them. It's like, I've just been like, oh yeah, Stone did that, and I liked it. So maybe I do like those hops, but everything else just goes way above my head. But I do recommend this one. It is very tasty, given the name Tasty IPA from 21st Amendment Brewery. Definitely not on the smoother side of IPAs. Not real harsh, but still hoppy. I wouldn't recommend this for anyone that's kind of on the border of IPAs and enjoying IPAs. I know I say that a lot on this podcast. This is not one that I would recommend to on-air producer Chris Hassan because he is not an IPA fan. He likes the smoother pale ales. And this one, it's not smooth. Is that how you say it? No, it is smooth. It's smooth depending on your standards, but it's definitely got some hops to it, and you're gonna taste that IPA in there with this, and just prepare yourself for a half-naked Ben Franklin on your beer can. And you can actually get this most places. I think this one I just picked up at like Sprouts or one of those. This one was not hard to find. I think it's just a new brew from 21st Amendment Brewery. So check them out if you get a chance. I believe you can find this nationwide. Tasty IPA, and it is tasty for sure, especially if you enjoy IPAs. It's definitely right in the realm of a typical IPA. I would call it closer to a West Coast IPA, as the kids say these days, but definitely a tasty IPA from 21st Amendment Brewery. So check them out. I've had some good beers, good brews from 21st Amendment Brewery. I gotta be honest, I think that is one of the few smaller independent breweries that there have been a couple beers that I just really didn't like, but you're gonna find that with a lot of breweries. You know, I always say that like they don't have anything I don't like. There's stuff that I'm like, I'm not gonna drink a lot of that. But I believe 21st Amendment was one where I was like, this is not my cup of tea personally, but obviously somebody likes it because they made the beer and they're selling it. All right, moving along here. I'm gonna get another sip of this actually before we move along. Moving along to our weekly rant for episode 117 of Go Tell It to the Wall. It's funny, I actually had a rant prepared, and then I realized that I had done a rant similar to that a few episodes ago, so we had to kind of shift things around today. And then, it's funny, I actually almost switched it at the last minute because I had something else, but I was like, I'm going to save that rant for a future episode. But what I want to talk about today is parenting. And I'm not talking about parenting in general. You know, we have a parenting segment on Go Tell It to the Wall. We have a parenting playlist up on YouTube. And I am not usually one to criticize parenting. I think as long as the child is safe, parenting is really your own thing. You know, there's a very fine line there. I get that. But I've never been one to say, you know what, that's not a good idea. And in fact, trust me, I take my 3-year-old to the park daily, and I see parents riding down the slide with their kid, like, right in front of them. And it takes, like, I don't want to say it takes all my strength, but I stop myself. I'm like, nope, this is not my place to say anything. If they're not aware that is not a smart thing to do with your child, I'm not going to convince them here in 2 minutes on the playground. You know, so I'm not one to criticize. However, it has come up recently, really, for a while now, since I've been a father, but really recently I'm seeing a lot of kind of detached parenting. And there's that free-range parenting, you know, concept, and it's fine. Like, again, I'm not here to criticize the little things. What I am here to criticize is just the carelessness of it. And I get it, it's hard. I'm a full-time stay-at-home father to my 3-year-old. That is my full-time job. My part-time job is doing this and going out and doing live events and hosting live events. My wife works full-time during the day. I work at night. So I'm home with my daughter all day. I get it. It's hard. She's 3. I spend my entire days arguing with my 3-year-old. It's hard. But the most important thing when it comes to being a parent is keeping an eye on your child. Keeping an eye on your child. And like I said, I take my daughter to the park daily. We walk a mile to the park and we walk a mile home. And recently I'm seeing so much of this just careless, not keeping an eye on your kids' parenting. And in fact, today was a perfect example of that. We were at the park, and there was a mother there who, it looked like she was there with multiple kids. And just to give you an idea of the park where I take my daughter, they actually have one of those little workout areas for adults. You know, it's all like dirt around this area. Well, it rained quite a bit here in Los Angeles yesterday, Wednesday of this week in Los Angeles. So of course there was a lot of mud in that area where the grown-up, it's adult stuff, the grown-up exercise equipment is. This is what I have to say to my daughter, because she was like, no, that's for grown-ups. Which takes me to another thing, because all these parents letting their kids play on that, and it's, again, I'm not gonna say your kid shouldn't play on that, but I have to then tell my kid that she can't play on it despite the fact that there are kids playing on it. But back to the mud. I'm playing with my kid. She's climbing the rocks. You know, there's like these little play structures and stuff. And I look over because I hear a mother saying, no, what are you doing? And I look over and there is a 2-year-old, probably about 2 years old, standing more than ankle deep in a puddle of water in this mud. The mother is sitting over on a bench, and I could tell she had been looking at her phone and looked up for a second to see her child in that puddle of water and mud. So then she gets up, walks over, and pulls her kid out. And here's the thing. I get it. Trust, my kid gets into things all the time. This happens. This happens. But then what she did was she picked the kid up, she set the kid on the edge of the puddle, and then walked back to the bench to sit down. Said, no, we don't get in the water. What the fuck do you think the fucking kid's gonna do? What do you think? The kid's 2. The kid doesn't understand that you're saying don't do this. You took him out and you put him at the edge of it. What do you think's gonna happen? And sure enough, what happened? The kid walks right back into the puddle. And this isn't even to mention the other 2 kids that are literally hanging off of exercise equipment that is way too big for them. Way too big for them. But that's just one example of what I see quite often, and all too often lately. Another example at the park, we were there about a week ago or so, and there's a little girl who's probably like 5. I want to say 5. I don't know exact ages. Looks to be about 5, older than my daughter. And she's running around the park, and she is barking like a sea lion in all the kids' faces. And she comes up to my kid and starts barking in her face. Now, she's doing it playfully. I understand. She wasn't being malicious. I get that. However, some kids don't like that. My kid in particular does not like someone yelling in her face. And she definitely backed away. And then the mother of this child then said, we don't just do that to any kids at the park. And she stopped for a second. And then what happened? 1 second later, she's doing it again. 1 second later. Consistency with parenting. If you're going to correct a child, you have to continue to correct them. And there have to be consequences here. Again, I'm not one to criticize parenting. But when it starts to affect my child, like that sea lion barking in the face, then it's a problem. Or when I see you blatantly just not watching your kids and then getting upset at your kid because they got into a puddle of water, like, what do you expect? Kid's going right back in that puddle of water. It's absolutely ridiculous. And if you have your kid at the park, no reason to be on your phone. I understand maybe you get a message or something. I do the same. I look at my phone for a second in case my wife is calling me or texting me and I hear it ring, whatever. I'm looking at it for a second. I am not on my phone while I'm at the park with kids. I just don't do it. And headphones, forget about it. Never, ever, 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 ever do I have headphones in when I'm out with my kid. Because you need to be able to hear things. You need to be able to hear things. You need to be able to hear your kid. You need to be able to hear other kids. You need to be able to hear cars. You need to be able to hear everything that's around you if you're taking care of a small human being. At that point, it becomes you keeping another human being alive, not just yourself. And those are the things that need to be accounted for when it comes to parenting. And also, depending what you letting your kids do at home, certain things, maybe don't let them do that out in public. I'm not even going to sit here and say what there was a little boy running around the park trying to do the other day. Kind of freaked me out a little bit. I was like, how does a 4-year-old, 3 to 4-year-old learn that thing? Keep it at home. Keep it at home. And we can do better for our kids, and we should do better for our kids, and we will do better for our kids in general. Because as parents, that's what we're supposed to do. All right, moving along here. Man, parenting, huh? Jeez. Parenting. That's the thing. I know I'm not the best parent on the face of the earth, but Jesus Christ, I'm a million times better than a lot of these parents I see out there. I've seen parents smoking cigarettes, pushing their kids in a stroller, and it's like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, I was a smoker. I get it. You got, get a nicotine lozenge or something if you need the nicotine that freaking bad while you're out with your kid. I don't know. All right, trending on social. We got a lot of stuff here in trending on social. Some funny stuff, a couple serious things, but mostly funny stuff. Essence Cosmetics. Are you guys familiar with Essence Cosmetics out there? We might have some listeners that are familiar with them. That's a cosmetics brand. They make makeup and such. I'm not familiar with them, and not because I am too manly for that. I'm not familiar with them. I am familiar with a couple of makeup brands. Mary Kay, Avon. I know that. And actually, I do. What's the nail? Oh, see now I'm OPI. I know OPI quite well. I had a friend that did all of their print marketing, the print marketing design. But Essence Cosmetics, they're apparently pretty big, and they are one of the most recent companies, but the first cosmetic company to get on board with the virtual influencer. They have unveiled, and they did it just this week, unveiled a virtual influencer named Kenna. She is obviously powered by artificial intelligence, and instead of having an influencer that they're paying money, they have simply created a computer program that is actually already doing quite a bit. The first post that after like 6 hours or something, 7,500 likes. And Essence, and we're not talking about Essence. Like I said, I know there's these bigger brands, so I don't think Essence is on the same level as So you might say, 7,500 Essence, it probably is quite a bit for them. And I think the main takeaway from this is influencers. I've been talking about it for months now. We talked about it a lot last week. Your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. Not only do companies not really want influencers in general anymore, but the companies that do want influencers are just going to have a virtual influencer like this. So learn another trade outside of just taking pictures of your ass at the beach and sunsets and that fucking hair twirl thing that they all do. Like, it's not like if everybody does it, is it even a thing? I don't know. Go listen to some real big fish from the 90s. Deep cut there. Deep cut. Only my ska fan listeners are going to understand what the hell I meant with that one. All right, moving along. Instagram down. Hashtag Instagram down. That's right. Today, December 5th, 2019, Instagram was down yet again. And so, of course, whenever Instagram is down, hashtag Instagram down starts trending on Twitter. And I always enjoy this one because people always share the same thing, like the same little GIFs and memes and stuff. And one of the biggest takeaways I get from this is people are always like, and here's all the people that haven't gone to their Twitter account in 6 months, or the last time they were here was when Instagram was down. So true. That's what it seems like, at least, because when I open my Twitter feed, I tend to see it, and people are like, Instagram's down. I'm like, what? I didn't even realize it was down. I guess I'm just not millennial enough for all of this madness. But yeah, that's Instagram. It was down. And hipsters lost their minds. Because how can you get any kind of news if Instagram is down? Get it through every other site that's out there. All right. Moving along. Hashtag Spotify Wrapped 2019. I gotta be honest. I felt very left out with this because I don't use Spotify. Now, we use Spotify for the podcast. Go Tell It to the Wall is featured on Spotify. And I do use it in the home a little bit, but I believe my wife's Spotify account is connected to our Google Home and stuff. So if I ask specifically for Spotify, it's pulling up her account. And that's usually when I'm pulling up stuff for my kid. I have no Spotify, no, I have an account. But I even, I opened the app and I was like, oh, maybe it has something. Nope, just I don't listen to Spotify really at all. Unless I'm with my kid. I pull up Disney music and stuff on the Spotify. In fact, when my wife did the thing, she was like, who is this? Christoph something. And I was like, that is one of the Frozen soundtrack composers. And that's why he's in your little, whatever, this Spotify Wrapped 2019. I do think it is cool. So if you're interested in what people are sharing and everything else, I do think it's really cool. So check those out. I just felt a little left out personally. The thing for me is I own all of the music I really enjoy. And I think I could start playing my playlist from the beginning. Like right now I could do it, and I think it would take 2 months for it to finish. It's something ridiculous like that. I have ridiculous amounts of music. Just from growing up in the ska punk community, so much of that. And then also I was a DJ for so many years. I have a music box that's full of just random top 40 hip-hop, every kind of music you can think of, spanning from the 50s all the way up until the early 2000s, and then some new stuff since. But, so there's not a lot of Spotify for me, but check that out. Hashtag Spotify Wrapped 2019. I will say, beware if you're checking on yours, because what's also trending on Twitter right now, and I believe on some of the other social platforms, is pop rap. That's right, pop rap, not pop punk, pop rap. Apparently this is a thing now, and people were very confused because Spotify, along with kind of these are your top artists, and it was also here's the top genre you listen to over the past decade, and apparently pop rap is a genre that we all didn't know existed, but apparently it does, or maybe Spotify just made it up, which is kind of what I'm going with. But beware that you might be a little bit of a pop rap fan, whatever the hell pop rap is. I guess this is just popular rap. I don't know. It's so I can't keep. There's like music terms for everything, and it's funny because I was talking about the music groups that I'm in on Facebook and stuff, and it's very minimal arguing, but there's always arguments of like, is this band ska? People and like there's this big debate, and it's like, who cares? Like, do you like them? Cool. Like, listen to it. That's really where I stand on music. Like, do you like them? Listen to them. Do you not like them? Don't listen to them. Somebody probably likes them. Let them listen to them. It's fine. There's so much freaking music out there. We live in a day and age where you have a 12-year-old that can just go on YouTube and they're putting up some song that they wrote because they have some musical talent. I mean, that's the world that we live in now. So just let's enjoy that and not have a big debate over what kind of music is, what genre a specific song or artist or anything else falls into. Except for pop rap. Let's just get rid of pop rap. Whatever the hell that is, it just needs to go away. All right. Moving along. That's not right. Oh, I totally just... Oh, man. Definitely just exited out of something I didn't want to yet. Also trending on Twitter is As a Catholic. Yeah, As a Catholic. That was trending on Twitter. And it's funny. I saw this trending today, and I was like, oh, man. This is not going to be good. This is not going to be good. And so, of course, I go to click on it. And I was actually pleasantly surprised to an extent, because then, of course, it divulged into all kinds of ridiculousness. But apparently Nancy Pelosi had said a reporter had questioned her something about hating the Orange Menace. And her response was, as a Catholic, I don't hate anybody. And so, of course, people ran with this as a Catholic stuff. And, of course, some people that are closed-minded Christians and Catholics ran with that side of it as well. So check that out if you'd like. Just tread lightly when you're checking this one out. And it's like I said, it's that quote from Pelosi to the reporter. And then, of course, because Pelosi is pro-choice, people... I don't want to get into semantics on that. But if you're wondering why As a Catholic was trending on Twitter, that would be why. Because Pelosi said, as a Catholic... It's funny, I grew up Catholic. 13 years of Catholic school. Private education. I don't think I've ever said, as a Catholic. It's never in my life. Even when I was, like, teaching religious education at church. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a Catholic anymore. I grew up Catholic. I'm Southern Irish. It's kind of one of those weird things. All right, let's move along here. Hashtag one letter wrong a movie. Hashtag one letter wrong a movie. We've done this for songs and other things before. Now it's making the rounds for a movie. And of course, somebody named Freddy Krueger had to share this one. Hashtag one letter wrong a movie. A Nightmare on Elf Street. Change the M to F, and you get Nightmare on Elf Street. A lot of people had fun with these. I will say School of Cock. Somebody shared that, School of Cock as opposed to School of Rock. The thing is, that probably actually is a film. I just imagine it is a pornographic film. But the one that I actually came up with, because of course being a huge Kevin Smith fan, it's pretty simple. Instead of Clerks, you have Clarks. And you can make it into a Christmas movie. It's just a bunch of Clark Griswolds. It's the Clark from each vacation movie all converging and putting Christmas lights on a house. I don't know. I'm not good. This is why I have people that kind of try to write jokes for me. I'm not the one to write the jokes. All right, moving along here. Hashtag anxiety feels like. Now this one's a little more serious, and I want to share it with all of you because As you know, we are huge proponents of mental health awareness, mental illness awareness, and reducing that stigma. And this would be another great example if you're somebody out there that is suffering, has these issues with anxiety, depression, with mental illness. This could give you some support simply by going on a social platform. I know I always say, why are you wasting time on social platform? If you're going to search this hashtag anxiety feels like, you'll see that you're not alone. And also, if you're not somebody that suffers from this, like I always say, you guarantee you know somebody that suffers from some form of mental illness, unless you live by yourself on a farm in the middle of nowhere. You know somebody. So this can also give you an idea of what people around you might be going through. Hashtag anxiety feels like, for me, anxiety feels like just crushing down on my chest, on my head, on my shoulders. That's what serious anxiety feels like for me. And it feels like I'm being crushed, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. And that's just the top end of it, you know. Trust me, when I'm having horrible depressive anxiety episodes, I feel like nobody cares about me. I feel like I'm just completely alone. I feel like I can't keep track of everything in my life. I feel like I'm falling behind on every little thing I do, whether it's simply cleaning the house or just speaking with friends. So those are just some of the things that anxiety feels like for me. And it's different for everybody. There's always similarities, but it's different for everybody. Even people suffering from the same exact mental illness are going to experience things differently, whether it's anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder, whatever it might be. Those manifest in different ways, absolutely, depending on the person. For me, it manifests in anxiety, my obsessive anxiety disorder, my obsessive compulsive disorder. That's where it manifests. It manifests in repetition, but that's different depending on the person. So I encourage you to check that one out. Hashtag anxiety feels like. Get yourself a little educated, or get yourself some support, really in a simple way. Now, of course, we have that California mental health helpline that is available. If you need serious support, do that. But if you're someone that suffers, and you're just having a rough day, this could be helpful for you. Hashtag anxiety feels like. All right, one more thing here in trending on social. Oh man, so this blew up. The Peloton ad blew up. Remember a couple weeks ago when I talked about over emotional holiday commercials and Christmas commercials, and I literally said the words on this podcast. And it was a weekly rant, and so we literally have it. It hasn't been posted on YouTube yet, but it's getting posted. And I said, it's a fucking exercise bike, Peloton. It's a fucking exercise bike. That's exactly what I said. Well, now people have realized how creepy that damn commercial is. Not necessarily because of the over-emotional aspect of it, but also because of the sexism aspect of it. And I'm not going to get into all the details there. In fact, I've got it kind of later in the show to talk a little bit more about the details. But I will encourage you to check out Eva Victor on Twitter. She's probably on other platforms as well. She's got one of those silly little blue check marks, so good for her. Eva Victor, she's probably some kind of influencer. The difference here, and she's still getting finger quotes because she's an influencer, and I just hate the term, but it looks like she does have some talent. She put together a spoof of the Peloton commercial. It's immensely hilarious. I will say there are a couple of curse words in there, so don't watch it around your kids, but it's immensely hilarious. And really, it gets it to the heart of what a lot of people are complaining about with this Peloton ad, the sexism behind it, and just the ridiculousness of somebody who's like 116 pounds needing an exercise bike and all this other stuff. And please don't send me, like, here's the thing, Peloton, it's kind of like a cult. And I'm not saying you're a cult member if you have a Peloton, but the people that have Pelotons and are into it, they are so freaking into it. They are so into it. And here's the thing, it costs more than getting a gym membership. And the cool thing about a gym, all kinds of different equipment. Classes, equipment, not just a stationary bike, not just a fucking exercise bike. But check out Eva Victor on Twitter. It looks like her I can't even read her handle. Have easier handles, people, and then I will read your freaking handles on Go Tell It to the Wall. All right, let's get into some entertainment news here. Entertainment news. We got some interesting stuff this week, actually. So Disney. More Disney news. There's going to be a lot of freaking Disney news over the next few months. Just prepare yourselves. We've got Star Wars coming out. Frozen 2 just came out. It's just the world we're in right now. Disney Plus, just deal with it. Everything's revolving around Disney. Pretty much. Bob Iger is the sun. It's just... Oh man, Disney. So Disney has found itself possibly involved in an antitrust lawsuit in South Korea over, you guessed it, Frozen 2. Now, apparently in South Korea they have a law. It's anti-monopoly law that actually extends to theaters as well. Now, Frozen 2, the weekend it came out, actually was on 88% of theaters there in South Korea. And apparently the law is no film can take up more than 50% of screens in South Korea. Otherwise, it's a film monopoly. Who knows if anything's going to come of this? I'm sure Disney's just going to throw some money at it because that's what they do. And honestly, I don't blame them in this situation. It's just one of those things where we have a disconnect from country to country, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just when you have an American company studio that's putting out films internationally, worldwide, like Frozen 2. I'm not even putting any fault on Disney here. Yes, should you be aware of that? Yes. I mean, they literally have a team of people that is dealing directly with each of those countries. So should you be aware? Yes. But is this something that's really just a cultural difference, a legal difference between countries? Yeah. So I don't think anything's going to come of this, but that's just kind of an FYI. Frozen 88% of movie screens. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's definitely more than it was on here in the U.S. Like, let's put it that way. 88% of screens, because we're not talking 88% of theaters had the movie. We're talking 80. So let's say there's 100 screens, and I know there's more. Let's say there's 100 feature film screens in South Korea. 88 of them were showing Frozen 2. That is definitely more than the United States was. I don't think 88% of the screens in the U.S. were Frozen 2. As much as everyone loves Frozen and Frozen 2 on Disney. And speaking of Frozen 2, and this one has nothing to do with international because this is simply domestic. Frozen 2 officially has the Thanksgiving record, the highest grossing Thanksgiving film ever. That is a film in theaters over the Thanksgiving weekend. They actually did $123.7 million domestically over those 5 days. Jesus Christ, $123.7 million. For Frozen 2, we're talking animated film. We're not talking Star Wars here. We're talking animated film. And Frozen's great. I'm taking my kid to see it in the next week or so here. It's great. It's just $123.7 million. Disney knows what they're doing. But don't forget, Wall fans, sometimes they miss a John Carter. Which is actually playing on Disney Plus. I saw it the other day. I was like, oh my God, you can watch that catastrophe on Disney Plus. It's there. More Disney Plus news coming up. Streaming services and limited internet. So apparently this story came out, and I believe it's Comcast was the specific one, but I know there's other companies that do this. Specifically out of New York, this family got a call from their cable provider that I believe was Comcast, and they said, hey, you're at 90% of your allotted data for the month, and it's like the 5th. I can't remember the exact date. And they were like, oh, okay, 90%, so we got 10% left. And this is apparently becoming a thing around the country, specifically because of Disney Plus. And a lot of people are just binge watching Disney Plus, and they're just like leaving it playing in the background. I mean, that's the thing with Disney Plus, is you're like, oh, we'll throw on The Simpsons, and suddenly The Simpsons is playing for 8 hours straight in your living room, and you forgot it's even doing it because you're like off working on something else, So this is apparently a thing because people aren't realizing that they have limited data through a lot of their internet plans. More importantly, I will tell everyone out there, if you're someone that has limited data through your internet plan, make a phone call right now. Like, pause the podcast. Make a phone call right now to your internet provider, to your ISP, and say, no more. I am going to this other company, because no matter where you live in this country, no matter where you live, there is a company that offers unlimited data on your internet. I have Spectrum here at the house, unlimited. Can you imagine if I had limited data and I'm like trying to stream all the time? That'd be crazy. So be aware of this, but more importantly, if you have limited data through like Comcast or one of those, get rid of it. It's amazing to me. That's the disconnect too in this country. We have limited data on phones, and then there's some internet company, ISPs, internet service providers, that are still limiting data. But then we literally have proposals out there for some cities, and I believe there is even a couple of smaller cities that have done this, where they just have free Wi-Fi and internet. It's like there's an in-between there that we're missing. Comcast is limiting how much internet you can use versus some cities and some politicians and other things that are pushing for just free internet. Meet in the middle here. Let's meet in the middle. Oh my god, I just lost my... There it is. I don't know why that came flying off. Okay, can't hold my pen tonight. Alright, that's the thing. There are the John Carters out there. But more importantly, keep in mind with Disney Plus, and this is another thing that is kind of coming to light, not everything on Disney is gold. Like John Carter, for example. But really, not even everything in the vault. The Disney vault. There's not actually a vault. There was never an actual vault. People used to come to, like, I'd give studio tours for clients when I was in marketing for Disney Channel, you know. Oh, let's go have lunch on the lot. And we'll do a little quick studio tour, you know, for high-end clients. Can't tell you how many of them would say, oh, where's the vault? The vault. It's like, there's not actually a fucking vault, guys. It's a storage room. And it's all just on reels. It's reels of film. But keep in mind that when you're searching through Disney Plus, it's not all gold. There are some films out there that really probably shouldn't have been released in the first place. For example, if you're not aware of Aladdin 2, where the genie is not actually voiced by Robin Williams, don't waste your time with that one. And this is, again, something that's coming to light because a lot of people are watching Disney Plus and they're like, oh yeah, those movies are terrible. Terrible. There's a Lion King 2, and I know we have sequels, you know, I just talked about Frozen 2, but these are like the non-theatrical releases that from the 90s when they were really trying to capitalize on all that, all the excitement around Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid, like, was the new wave of Disney films in 1989, and they really tried to capitalize on that by not only with their theatrical films, but also with these sequels that they would put, that would go out for non-theatrical release. Direct-to-video, for those of you out there that like to use that term. I've worked in home entertainment for a long time. When you say direct-to-video, it cheapens it. You just say non-theatrical. Just an FYI for all of you out there. Oh, Ghostbusters. Oh, yeah. Ghostbusters. That new film's still in development. I don't know when they're going to be shooting. I don't think they're in production yet. We got some more news out of Ghost. No, they are definitely in production. I don't think they're done with production yet. That's the freaking word I'm looking for. I don't think they've wrapped production yet. But they did come out with an official title for Ghostbusters, and it's Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters Afterlife. This is going to be interesting. I'm a huge Ghostbusters fan. I enjoyed the all-female Ghostbusters as well, but I am definitely an original Ghostbusters fan, so I'm looking forward to this one very, very much so. And we have the title, like I said, the trailer is coming soon. We've probably seen a trailer this week, if not beginning of next week, because it sounded like it was supposed to come this week, but now that's obviously Thursday, and I haven't seen that trailer drop. So keep an eye out for that one. Speaking of trailers, another trailer just dropped today, actually, December 5th, 2019. It's the trailer for The Boys Season 2. This is the Amazon original series, The Boys. We've talked about it before on the podcast. Superhero series that Amazon has put together. So check it out if you're interested in The Boys Season 2. We don't have an exact release date yet, but it is obviously going to be 2020. I think it's December 5th, so at this point, if we don't have a release date, it ain't going to be 2019. So The Boys Season 2 is going to be 2020. Hopefully a release date coming up for that. If you have Amazon Prime, that one is included with your Amazon Prime Video subscription. Highly, highly, highly recommend The Boys. Like I said, I've talked about it on the podcast before. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. It's gory. It's a little darker. We're not talking the Avengers here, and it is based on an original comic, which I never read. Never been a huge comic reader, but apparently it is based on a comic. All right. Oh, that's what I want to get into. You know what? Yeah, we're doing okay on time here. Yeah, we're doing okay. All right, I want to just run through these real quick. Entertainment Weekly put out the top 5 TV trends to retire in 2020. Top 5 TV trends. So I'm going to run through these and see if you guys agree with this. First one is franchise creeping. Franchise creeping. And what this means is basically taking a successful show and then spinning it off a bunch of times. And just continuing to do that and spin it off. A lot of you out there are like, well, Law & Order. They've done it very well, you know. CSI has actually, you know, CSI Miami, Los Angeles. Right? No, NCI, I don't know. I don't watch these shows. But people tend to forget that there have been a lot of these that didn't do well. In fact, more of these spin-offs have not done well than have done well. And I think people are just getting tired in general of just the same damn show. Like, what's the Chicago thing? Chicago Fire, Chicago PD. And it's like, okay, that's enough. Have an original idea. So I'm all in favor of getting rid of just breaking off everything. And it's like, here's CSI Alabama. Here's CSI Montana. Did this reindeer kill this reindeer? I don't know. Do they even have reindeer in Montana? Not good with the geography, Wall fans. You don't tune in for geography lessons here. All right, number 2, reboots and revival mania. I am 150,000% behind this. I am so sick. Like, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like, we don't need to. Murphy Brown didn't need to come back. Will and Grace. We don't need all these shows coming back. If you want to do a cute little reunion special or something, that's one thing. Stop reviving all the shows. We're done with them. We're done with reviving everything. And this is just the millennials remembering their parents watching, some must-see TV in the, God, millennials. Were millennials even alive in the 90s? Where are we with millennials? I can't keep track of where millennials are. But, that's what's happening here. Or hipsters, the hipsters are like, oh, I remember watching that in the 90s. And for some reason, my hipster got a southern accent. If that's even a southern accent, I don't know why. Right. The This Is Us effect. This one, I completely agree with as well. And this is basically taking these like over emotional shows and trying to just evoke emotion out of everybody. Here's the thing. I'm not a This Is Us fan. Like, I've watched it a little bit. I don't like it. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad show. I just don't like it. It is not for me by any means. My wife really enjoys it. However, there's only one This Is Us, and just stop. This really goes back to like branching off. And I get it. This has happened since the beginning of time. I mean, we had Armageddon and Deep Impact. It happens in the movie theaters. It happens theatrically. You get just tons of competing films. But just come up with your own idea. Don't piggyback off another network's idea. And then another one would be number 4, continuing a show when it should just end. This is definitely just, I mean, that is constant. Sometimes a show just needs to end, which I really appreciate about a lot of shows, like Schitt's Creek. Schitt's Creek was like, nope, we're ending it. Mr. Robot, my absolute favorite show on television right now. They were like, nope, we're done. The Good Place, another great example. No, we're done. We have told our story. Instead of just dragging out this whole freaking thing. No, let's kill it. Just kill the show. No, not kill the show. Finish the season. Maybe one season is good. Maybe you just need one season to tell a story. That there's nothing wrong with that. Don't look at The Simpsons and be like, we got to go 30 seasons. No, even The Simpsons fell off after like 15 seasons. And number 5 is Christmas movie overkill. I can get behind this at least to an extent, but I will say, here's the thing. I have a kid at home. Like, when you're talking Christmas movies, it's like, okay, just don't stream it. I watched this Anna Kendrick, whatever. Yeah. I mean, no insult to Anna. The Pitch Perfect woman. There's a original movie on Disney Plus called Noelle. It was actually pretty interesting, and I enjoyed it. Not interesting. Interesting is not the word. It was quite enjoyable. I laughed a few times. It's very cheesy. It's a Christmas movie. I laughed a few times, so I can get behind that to an extent. But you know what? These are all streaming at this point. We're not talking about network television where it's getting diluted. We're talking 1 month a year where it's like, okay, you want to put out some silly Christmas movies, that's fine. It's not like networks that are green-lighting all these terrible shows and giving the axe to all these great shows. There is a difference there. Speaking of ridiculous Christmas things, according to a poll out of the United Kingdom, the UK, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You has been voted the most annoying Christmas song ever. Most annoying Christmas song ever. And I think this is kind of widely known for a lot of people. I think it is. And it's nothing against Mariah Carey. I think the song is actually pretty good. The problem is, I think every radio station that plays Christmas music and every store that has a Christmas music playlist of some sort, they're like required to use Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, as the 5th song on every rotation. So 1, 2, 3, 4, Mariah Carey. 6, 7, 8, 9, Mariah Carey. 11, 12, 13, 14, Mariah Carey. And that's what it is. In fact, this happened to me the other day. I'll be honest with everyone. I was actually going into my collective, my dispensary, the other day. And I'm walking up to check in, and they got Christmas music going. And I could hear Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You starting. And I started to turn to the woman at the counter, and I like, my mouth started to open, and I started to say, this freaking song, am I right? And right as I start to say it, she starts singing it, and I was like, oh. Glad I didn't get those words out that quickly, because obviously she likes the song, but especially retail. Like retail. You are hearing this freaking song so much it's not even funny. Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You. And if you're hankering for some new Christmas songs, Blink-182 is actually releasing a Christmas song tomorrow. Brand new Christmas song by Blink-182 coming out tomorrow, December 6th, 2019. It was teased by Travis Barker on a couple of the social platforms. There's a quick guitar riff on it. You can't really tell what it is, but new Christmas song by Blink-182 coming out tomorrow. Very typical Blink-182. They have a few different Christmas songs, and a lot of punk ska bands put out these Christmas songs quite a bit. In fact, I haven't heard it yet. I get a little emotional with that song, but the Dolly Rots, really enjoy the Dolly Rots. They put out a new Christmas song just today. And it is actually a cover of Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues, if you're familiar with that one. I get a little emotional with Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues. I'll be honest, I do get a little emotional. All right, I have a quick mental health thing here. Quick, because we're running out of time, but also just because this came up. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about this as we go along, Mental Health Mondays, because I think this is an important thing, but I kind of want to just top end it. This is something we'll talk about over the next few months. And this came up from the Mighty, and somebody talked about learning about their mental illness when they snapped, and I put snapped in finger quotes. And it talked about this woman waking up one morning and just couldn't stop crying. That was the break. That was the breakdown. And for a lot of people out there that suffer from mental illness, have mental health issues, you know that we will have these breaks, these breakdowns, these breaks where anxiety comes in. Depression is at the forefront. And the reason I bring this up is because I think, and this is what happened with this woman who was writing for the Mighty, I think a lot of people don't realize that they are dealing with mental illness until they hit a breaking point. It's not rock bottom. It's not like when you have an addiction. It's not necessarily rock bottom. I mean, in a way it is, but it's a little bit different. It's finally that realization that what's happening, there's nothing you can do about it in that moment. You can't stop it, is what I should say. And for me, I'll talk about my own personal, I mean, I've had multiple breakdowns throughout my life. And looking back, I realize, even as a kid, having obsessive compulsive disorder, I've talked about it before, contemplating the meaning of life at 4 years old. So it's not healthy. But I didn't realize at 4 years old that I had a mental illness. In fact, it was really not until I was like 19 that I really started to realize it. But even then, it wasn't until I got a little older, in my early 20s, that I really realized it. Because back in my teens, especially when I was first in college, I was always able to blame something for my anxiety or my depression. And for me, the ultimate breaking point for me, and I'd already gotten help before then. I had been misdiagnosed as type 2 bipolar, had started to realize that I had obsessive compulsive disorder and obsessive anxiety disorder. But the break for me was when everything was going great on the surface. I didn't have any money worries. I had a good job, had a place to live. I was a college graduate. I was working for Disney, for the love of God. And I woke up one morning, and very similar to the woman that was writing the story, I couldn't stop crying. I couldn't feel better. And I didn't know why. And suddenly I didn't have anything to blame it on. Suddenly I didn't have a focal point, a source to say that is what's causing my anxiety and my depression and my sadness. So for a lot of people, snapping like this woman did, that final snap, that final breakdown. And it's not the final breakdown, it's just the last one that makes you realize this is all about mental illness. And like I said, I'd known that before then. I'd known that I had problems. But it was finally not having something to blame it on. And at the same time, as crazy as that was, and as much as I spent weeks going to doctors and going through the rigmarole of everything, in the end, that was what set me on the right path. That was what inspired me to go out and say, and even then I wasn't open with everyone about it, but it inspired me to actually go out and take care of myself and not just blame it on other things. And then years later, I was inspired to share it with other people and to finally talk about it. I mean, Jesus Christ, back then I was in my 20s, I didn't want to. It wasn't until I got into my 30s that I started talking openly about it. And thanks to other celebrities, athletes, and everything out there talking about it themselves, that has made it easier for myself, and I know many other people out there, to also talk about their mental illness and their mental health problems. All right, we're running short on time. I want to run through a couple of these tech things, and actually this one I'm super excited about. There is a state senator in California who's actually going to be introducing a bill in January, and this bill would make it illegal to send unsolicited dick pics. Yes, unsolicited dick pics. It would make it a Class C misdemeanor and with punishable of up to a $500 fine. So this is a California state senator, and it's interesting because this makes total sense. I don't know why anyone would fight this, except for the perverts out there that send dick pics. And if you want to laugh, it's kind of not funny, but they're laughing. The ladies are laughing at it too. Check out Sliding into the Bomb Pops DMs. That they're doing a little web series. It's really funny. It's funny, but it's sad. But they're laughing about it, so you can kind of laugh about it too. And you're like, all right, dude, calm it down. Maybe don't think you're just gonna get laid by sending somebody a direct message. It's ridiculous. But apparently Texas has a similar law already that went into effect in September. 100% support this. Nobody should be getting pictures of people's dicks when you don't want them. You shouldn't be getting pictures of anything if you don't want them. Even faces, for the love of God. I've seen some pretty offensive faces out there. Not saying it's more offensive than an unsolicited dick pic, but whew, you know, maybe. I'm exaggerating. But seriously, I'll be fully in support of this. And I'll be telling all of my girlfriends, not girlfriends, my female friends, that they should be aware of this, and hopefully they'll be able to just start reporting people. And that's what's great too, because dudes send dick pics with their phone number. It's like, dude, it's not really anonymous. You're like, even if you're not sending your name, your phone number is right there, man. Oh, people, illegal to send dick pics. I love it. Android focus mode. This is a new feature that is that's rolling out to Android phones, and it's to temporarily silence distracting apps. So as you're going through, if you're getting distracted and you tend to go down that YouTube hole or whatever they call it, temporarily silences those apps so you don't get as distracted. And the cool thing about this that I found is you can actually schedule it for certain times of the day too. So let's say you're like, I cannot be on Twitter, from 5 to 9 p.m. or whatever, and you can silence those apps and you're not going to get distracted by them. Pretty cool. I know there's other apps out there like this, but this one's going to be integrated into Android. Apple and the charging plug. We're getting word out of Apple that by 2021, the iPhone will have no charging port. This will only be on the highest end iPhone. So, like, for example, the iPhone, not the 11, but the 11 Plus or Max or whatever it is that they have, like the high-end phone, most likely not going to have a charging port in 2021. That's, of course, going to be some wireless charging. They're just taking away all the ports on your phones. Not going to be able to do anything else. It's just like... And I don't know, like the headphone jack, I was very much opposed to. This one, I'm like, okay, I kind of get it, but can we come down in price on the wireless charging pads? That's the ridiculousness there. Because even if it doesn't work ideally with your phone, you can get a $2 charger at 7-Eleven. I'd be afraid of a $2 wireless charger because it might blow up in your bedroom. Google Recorder This is a new app that came out with the Google Pixel 4. It's now available in the App Store and works on Google Pixel 3, 3A, and Pixel 2. So if you're interested in that. The funny thing is, like, everyone's like, oh, this is cool recording. There's so many recording apps out there. I literally use a Shure recording app, Shure, the microphone company. So like, check that one out, or just check out one of the billion others. Speaking of apps, Craigslist, after 24 years of existence, now officially has a mobile app. So for those of you that want to get murdered quicker than you do by going on the website, Craigslist app right there. I didn't even know Craigslist still existed. Do people still use Craigslist? Good Lord, that terrifies me. No thank you, Craigslist. Walmart shopping, their shopping app, actually beat out the Amazon shopping app for most downloaded app on Black Friday. Interesting thing is, I saw this and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But I also realized that most people have had the Amazon app for a long time, whereas Walmart has really been pushing into this, the delivery stuff and trying to compete with Amazon for the past year at most. So really, that's probably why the downloads were much higher than Amazon, because everyone already had Amazon. They went to download the Walmart app because they were seeing like Black Friday deals or whatever. And the Spotify Wrapped, which I talked about, they did expand that to include favorite music from the entire decade. They actually added some podcaster metrics as well, which I haven't had a chance to go on there and look, but I'm going to go check out the Go Tell It to the Wall podcast metrics on Spotify. I think we do quite a bit on Spotify. I don't know how much we do. We do a lot more through other apps, but I know Spotify. We have some avid listeners on Spotify as well, so I'll be checking out those analytics. And you may see some subscriber declines on YouTube. Apparently, YouTube, or Google, who owns YouTube, they are purging closed accounts. So any accounts that have been closed are going to be purged, and those are going to pop off of your subscriber count. So if you are someone out there with a YouTube channel and you're noticing your subscriber count is dipping a little bit recently, that could be why. Could also be that you're an influencer and your products suck. And I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. The influencers are going away. We're almost done with them. There is great YouTube content out there. I always joke, but there is good YouTube content out there. Check out John Boy. If you're a sports fan, man, check out the guy is funny, poignant, and very intelligent when it comes to sports. That's just one off the top of my head, John Boy. All right, I've got one common sense thing for you here, and then we're going to end for tonight. Duncan Hunter, who is a congressman from San Diego, you guessed it, Republican congressman. I actually mentioned this guy about a year ago on a podcast episode because he was in trouble and he was clearly guilty of pulling campaign funds to pay for his family vacations, all of his expensive things and cars and products and stuff, and he swore that he was not guilty even though his wife pled guilty to it. The same exact thing. Well, this week, Duncan Hunter decided that he's going to come out and plead guilty. Why? Because he's guilty as shit. And the ridiculous thing here is we knew over a year ago that this dude was stealing campaign funds down in San Diego. And I was down in San Diego in October of 2018, toward the end of October, mid to end of October. And I drove around San Diego and I saw so many goddamn fucking Duncan Hunter fucking re-election fucking signs in everyone's fucking yard in fucking San Diego. You're all dipshits. All of you, dipshits. Dude, stealing money, you knew he was stealing money, and you still elected his ass last year. Well, now, you got a admitted thief right here, and he's your congressman, San Diego. Heh. I used to like San Diego. I don't care to go down there at all anymore. Maybe to see my parents, a couple of friends. Y'all are crazy down there. That's the thing. This isn't about Republican or Democrat. The dude stole money. You knew he stole money. You still elected his ass. Ridiculous. And now he's admitted that he's been stealing money this whole fucking time. Jesus Christ. There's that bomb quota for this week, Wall fans. Duncan Hunter. Shady Republicans. Just threw my notebook over my shoulder, too. That's funny. I knew I was kind of fired up about Duncan Hunter, but because I talked about this over a year ago. And I was like, y'all are stupid. You're like a crook. He's a crook. And you have a sign in your yard and you're voting for him. Stay classy, San Diego. All right, Wall fans. That's going to do it for us this week. Remember, you can follow us on multiple social platforms. head on over to Twitter, follow our official Twitter account, which is at Tell the Wall Pod, or my own personal Twitter account, which is at Magic Muppet. Of course, we are currently live on Facebook, facebook.com/Go Tell It to the Wall. Like our page, check back often for all of the updates you can stand. And YouTube, head on over to YouTube, search Go Tell It to the Wall, subscribe to our channel, and do the things that the kids do on YouTube these days. You can, of course, follow my own personal Instagram account, which is at SoCalSean, if you are interested in kid and concert photos. And, of course, all-encompassing of those things I just mentioned would be SeanO'RourkeLive.com. You're going to find the links to all those things, including our Patreon campaign. So please, please, please bookmark that and check back often. That's going to do it for us. This has been episode 117 of Go Tell It to the Wall podcast. We will be back next week. Same wall place, same wall time with episode 117. 118. I am, of course, your absolute favorite podcast host, the one and only Sean O'Rourke, and thank you for joining us this week. But remember, wall fans, common sensors, podcast consumers, no matter what you do, no matter where you go, no matter who you're with, and no matter why you are doing it, always, always use common sense. All right, wall fans, common sensors, social media world. Didn't go short. I never go short. I always say this, and I'm like, I'm going to do a shorter show just tonight, and never go short. My notebook's on the ground. Duncan Hunter's a fucking crook. You know, all these things. Sorry about the F-bomb quota there. I feel like the last 2 episodes have been a little liberal with the F-bombs. We're going to have Bridget on the next episode to keep me in line. No more F-bombs and all this such, you know. But like I said, we will be back next week with episode 118. And remember, wall fans, common sensor, social media world, if you've got any complaints, go tell them to a wall.